Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bishop Exchange. It's great to be back with the congregation. I'm Des Bishop, and I'm here with my fellow podcasting host.
Yeah, I thought you were going to introduce me. John Bishop. I'm John Bishop. Des Bishop is with John Bishop.
Yeah,
because Des Bishop couldn't bring himself to say, I'm with John Bishop. His contract ran out after his own name.
I'm sorry. I guess we haven't found that perfect symbiosis just yet of co-hosting
that
together.
Kind of game show we hosted.
Yeah, I in my mind, you knew that I was throwing it to you.
Yeah, and I should have done. To be fair, that was more professionalism off your end than my end. I agree. I should have known when you stopped talking, it was my go. That's it's not that hard, is it? But also, you've got to remember, I've been on tour for a week. It was the first week back on the road. I've come home. I've been home for 2 days. When I was on the road, I could talk for 2 hours without interruption. Now that I'm at home, I'm not sure when it's my go. Not sure.
Do you want to know what's funny about that? So anyway, we're not getting into too much detail. I didn't end up talking to Hannah yesterday till 7 p.m., right? Just by, flights and different things. Yeah. And so I when I called her, she had actually been off the flight for like 2 hours. I was like, you never let me know that you landed. Anyway, we had like a funny interaction because she kept making these excuses for why she didn't ring me, right? And then at one stage she goes, I've been gigging all weekend. I've been talking all weekend. I just wasn't ready to talk. I was like, just stop making excuses.
Yeah. I'd used up all the words in my head where I had no words left for you.
Speaking to strangers is more important than communicating with my husband, Our marriage is going to survive, but the public needs
me. They need me.
My words need to be prioritized for the public.
So listen, apart from Hannah not wanting to speak to you, how's your week been?
Well, let me tell you a funny story that happened. So I'm going to admit something to you. Brad and I assumed that you hadn't woken up. So for the listener, we decided to record at 8:30 a.m. We're both on Greenwich Mean Time. We decided to record at 8:30 a.m. I'm a morning guy, so I'm very happy to do that. John was not showing any red WhatsApps. So Brad and I made the false assumption that you were asleep. We were talking about you like a dog, saying that John's asleep. And I jokingly said, I'm going to kill him because I timed my coffee intake for, to peak out while we're on the pod. And now we're probably not going to do it till 9:30. And I'm going to be crashing while he's peaking, right? So Brad says to me, I drink matcha lattes because apparently it's a slow release of caffeine, right?
Is that how he said it?
No, well, it was on text. It was on text. It's a slow release of caffeine.
Can you feel Brad coming out just in his thumb? I think the problem with this, he's recorded this in an industrial tribunal. That will come across as bullying.
So anyway, Bradley goes, I drink matcha lattes because the streets say it's a slow release of caffeine, right? So I said, fucking bullshit, slow release of caffeine. That's what Purdue Pharma said about fucking Oxycontin, and that turned out to be bullshit. So I'm sticking with coffee. But anyways.
I'll be honest with you, when I get a text off you, Brad, I must get the boring text. I just get Brad coming through, whereas it seems like Des gets a parade. He gets a flamingo dancer. And you know what? Like, I'm up early every day. I'm a morning person as well. And also, our day begins with one of us, when I'm at home, goes downstairs, lets the dogs out, makes a cup of tea for the other one, and then lets the dogs in. And then the dogs come running upstairs. And Alfie goes in with Luke, my son, and then Stanley, the French bulldog, comes on our bed and has 15, 20 minutes or so watching the news, seeing how shit the world is, with the dog, having a cup of tea on bed at about 7 o'clock most mornings. That is the best part of the day, just having a French bulldog on your bed.
You are having domestic bliss.
Well, you were calling me a lazy bastard.
Sorry about that, John.
What I was doing is I was feeding my relationship, which is what you should do, because if you does, then when your wife gets off a plane, she might phone you.
Yeah, well, listen, because I'm a refugee from my marriage at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. How's that going? Because
Well, how's my marriage going? Okay, hold
no,
the
what I
phone.
mean is, how's it going being here? Because you've only nipped back for a few days. How's it going being here and kind of being back to being the Des you were before that pre-COVID times when you were living in Rialto in Dublin and being a full-time comic?
Oh, I mean, that's almost like a deep question, John. I think I just get back into my routine, you know?
Anyway, no, the reason I was asking you the question is because, like when I spend time away at home or whatever on the road, it's still part of a new world. I'm not going back to where I used to live before. Do you know what I mean? Like you sort of got these two parallel lives. So that's why I was
but
asking.
I've no jokes about it, but I've always had those two lives. So
Yeah.
it feels the same as always, because don't forget, the rest of my family was always in the States. So I've always had a foot in both camps. So the only difference for me that I feel now is that I'm just in the States more. But in my mind, I still live the bi-coastal life, which you didn't like the term. But in my mind, I'm still doing what I always did.
Yeah, I guess
The only obviously, now the difference is that, like I can't actually do these long trips really anymore. This will probably be the last time I do like a long stint, unless Hannah and I are touring together. Because like in fairness, I've lived away from my family my whole life. I'm a little bit just accustomed to just like shutting off. But
yeah, but like I was sort of talking to Brad about it the other day. We were gigging. I mean, it was Brad when we were travelling to Rill or something, and I was just saying this life, because prior to Brad's working for me on the tour, I hadn't done it. This life where you're spending time away just becomes your normal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when you've got a night off, your mates stuff are saying, should we go away somewhere for a weekend? He went, no. Almost coming home is like being away because you're away that often.
Yeah, so I have a joke about that where people say like, wow, it must be tough. So people say, oh, how's married life? You get that a lot in the early days of marriage, how's married life? So my joke is that I say, well, actually it's been cool. It's pretty smooth actually. I said, but we're both comedians, so we're only together like half the time. And I say, people under 35 say, oh, that must be hard. And people over 50 say, you guys are going to make it. you guys are going to have a great marriage.
You're going to do it. You got to stay apart. Yeah, it is. I had this thing, and it's a true thing where if I go away for more than 2 weeks, it's too long. And if I come home for more than 2 weeks, it's too long.
yeah. Which some people think that's like harsh, but it's like, listen, it's okay.
This is how it works, yeah.
Because as I say, familiarity, what is it? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and familiarity makes you hate the sound of each other's breathing. So it's like, you always know it's time for a tour when you're like, do you have to fucking breathe that loud?
Really?
But anyway, that's just me with the misophonia. I had a thought, right?
Yeah.
I was on the toilet literally right before we recorded, and I was thinking about what are we going to talk about today? And I have a few things I want to talk about. One is serious, but I want to start with something lighthearted. So a clip came up from a great Palestinian American, well, he's Palestinian comedian called Mo Amer, who has a series on Netflix called Mo. And he has a great routine about hummus. It's a funny routine about how so much of the shit that we say is hummus isn't hummus. And, it's a routine that I've heard from various cultures around the world about certain foods are not really that food, right? So certain cultures are allowed to have some rigidity about what's genuine and what isn't. So I had a quick thought that I wanted to ask you. Is there any British foods that like people are that protective over? Like,
well, when you say protective, so first of all, there's a big thing in Britain about scones or scones.
Right. Oh, how do you pronounce it? There we go. We're into controversy straight away.
So it's spelled Scones, scones or scones.
Right. And Irish people say scones.
Yeah. And then in Cornwall, you when you have a scone or a scone, I think you gotta put the cream on first and then the jam.
Oh.
And then the rest of the country puts the jam on first and then the cream.
Really?
Yeah, and this
Really?
is a serious like. So when you drive into the county of Cornwall, there's signs as soon as you cross the border going, "Come and get a proper Cornish scone here." Here, you can get it here.
Yeah.
You can't over there. Over there, they're going to give you the cream at the wrong order. It's one of those things. So there's that.
No, let's hold the phone here for a second, because this is news to me. Maybe you think that all your listeners have heard this. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Irish people know this. I can't believe that British people put the jam on first.
You can't believe that.
I'm in shock. This is a huge cultural. My mind is how. I mean, I need this to be in a public forum. I can't wait for the feedback.
You know when we first started this and we did that little thing and you said, "Yo, when we do it, let's just be two middle-aged men who are not afraid to be middle-aged." Listen to this conversation
Because I
can't believe.
I'm so listen, talk to Hannah, talk to anybody who knows me. I am so passionate about jam, and I love scones, and I am just in shock that you would put the cream over the jam. I just can't believe this. It feels to me to be heavier. So are you telling me that you put the cream over the jam?
You know what I do, Jez? I mix the cream and the jam together and then I smear it over my face.
That's
rub
what
the scone
chewing.
in it.
That's what chewing is for, bro. The chewing looks after the mixing. This is fascinating.
But it is a real thing. It's a thing that people argue.
Maybe this is controversial, but I 100% think that butter and jam on a scone is better than cream and jam on a scone. But that's a personal preference.
No, I'd agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's a better mix.
But what order?
Well, listen. I'm sorry, but Ireland fought for its freedom from the UK to put butter first and then the jam.
800 years of oppression. Now we can do what
800
we
years
want
of putting the fucking jam the wrong way.
Do you know what we had to suffer? There was no potatoes, but you still made us eat jam first on our scones.
Butter above the jam. Sorry. The strawberry jam represents the blood of the sacrifice.
Yes.
So listen.
The other thing, there is a particular dish that is particular just to Liverpool called Scouse. When we first married, we were living in Manchester. So my kids grew up in Manchester, and one of the things about what they loved about going to my mum's, because obviously I've been vegetarian for 40 years, but we never brought the kids up. It was their choice at what point they made that decision. So they ate meat. So they used to go to my mum and dad's house and loved the fact that she made this thing called Scouse. And the reason I bring it up, Des, it's actually Scouse is like an Irish stew. And it's basically all the leftovers and whatever meat you could get to bulk it out. It's a poor person's stew that's become this cuisine of Liverpool, and it just figures in my memory as my childhood.
Yeah, so in Dublin they call that a coddle. So like Irish stew is Irish stew, but the Dublin version is a coddle, which means you could throw in sausages. You could basically throw in whatever the fuck you had.
Yeah, what you had
into this dish. And the funny stuff about that, well, I think that's always interesting because a lot of that stuff is like poverty food, right? Yeah. But then in the modern culinary environment, which I think is great, they basically try to like resurrect these kind of like forgotten dishes and turn them into so basically there shouldn't be garlic in Scouse. But I bet you now you can go to some fancy Liverpool restaurant and there's like garlic and they try to like flavor it up.
Couscous. Stuff that we didn't even know what I didn't know what couscous. I didn't know
what couscous was until I was in my 20s.
No, where did it come from?
There is an odd, like it's almost connected to patriotism, right? About certain foods. Now, not all foods get it, but certain foods have this like rigid criteria where if you deviate from the norm, people get very upset. Yeah. Right? Now, first, I'm going to use an example which in Ireland is very controversial, which is in recent time, so obviously we know the way to pour a Guinness, right? Guinness is, I think it's the first drink or food that people think of when they think of Ireland is Guinness, right? Yeah. Now, it's always known you pour it 3/4 of the way and then you top it up, right? And it creates that perfect pint of Guinness. But in recent times, there has been some controversy because I've seen some TikToks where people say that actually a straight pour has no discernible difference. Have you ever tried a straight pour? By the way, I'm not saying it's right. I'm a traditional advocate.
Like, listen, my mate's got I think it's the only Guinness bar in Ireland, in Belfast.
Right.
So all it serves is Guinness.
Right.
That's it. And they do Guinness Zero and normal Guinness. And their process is always the traditional thing.
Yes.
Get to 3/4 and allow it to stand. And
Yes.
it's one of those things that if you've never had a Guinness before, you go to a pub, you order a Guinness, and the barmaid or the barman pours it 3/4 and leaves it standing. And you go, finish your drink.
Yeah.
Because they go off and go and save someone else. They got to leave it for a few minutes. And the idea being that it settles, and then the top up gives it that little bit of that's the tradition, and that's how they do it. Now,
yeah, and listen, that's the way we all. But I you know, you want to hear a funny story about Guinness settling? So when I was 14, listen, no secret, I had a bit of a problem with alcohol when I was a teenager, right? I started drinking at 12, and the joke was I got sent to another country because I got kicked out of school for having a problem with alcohol. They sent me to Ireland, of all countries. But anyway, when I got to Ireland, okay, everybody was talking about Guinness. I had never heard of Guinness before I got to Ireland. And once I got to Ireland, everybody was saying, oh, you got to try Guinness. You know, I was 14. But anyway, nobody was going to take me. I was too young. So when I got to Wexford, I had 2 days before I was going into boarding school. And the people that were looking after me, they brought me into town. And I said, hey, can I just walk around the town on my own and see the town? They were like, yeah, because you got to understand, it's 1990. Back then, it was like, 14-year-old, go, do your thing. Fine.
Yeah, what are you doing with us? You're 14.
They could never imagine, right? They could never imagine what I actually had in my mind. So I get far enough away from them, and I walk into Christie's Bar on the Quays in Wexford. It's gone now. It was like an old man's pub. And I just couldn't wait. On my own, by the way, 14 years of age, I couldn't wait to try Guinness. I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know it was black, right? I get into the pub, and I have a story in my head that I'm staying in a B&B. I had already clocked a B&B around the corner that I was going to say I was staying. I had like a whole story in my head. Already a scheming addict by 14, right? I go into the bar. I say, pint of Guinness, please. And I'm sitting at the bar. I'm the only one in there. There was an old man, an old woman behind the bar. And I say, pint of Guinness. They say, no problem. And then no pint for like a while. And I was like, fuck, I'm caught. Like the cops are on the way. I literally thought I was caught, right? And then like literally a couple of minutes later, they put this fucking black thing in front of me. I didn't even know what Guinness looked like. I was like, what in my mind? What the fuck is that? And then I took a sip and destroyed my life. Yeah. Because it was the nicest thing I'd ever drank in my life.
It's a funny
honestly.
thing for people who haven't drank it. Like Melanie went to Belfast with her mates, and they went to my mate's Mark's bar, and as a joke, Mark gave them all a pint of Guinness, and they drank it. And it's not the nicest of tastes until you've acquired the taste for it, or you're old enough for it, and then it's a lovely drink. It's such a lovely, smooth drink. It's got that little bitterness, but it's not too bitter, and it feels as you
it's
drink
the texture.
it.
It's the texture.
And as you drink it, you can feel the harps playing and the barons playing and the river dance going on.
Yeah. I just felt a genetic connection, as you did too, because you're from Liverpool. It's in there somewhere.
Of course. You know? Yeah.
But anyway, I immediately loved it. I thought it was like the nicest. I absolutely loved it. But I drank the Guinness Zero a couple of years ago because I was like curious, and I couldn't even get through. I couldn't even get through one pint. Not because it wasn't nice. It was just like there's so many nicer drinks I could be drinking right now than Guinness.
If you're an alcohol drinker or you're a Guinness drinker and you just don't want to,
you're driving that night. Yeah.
If you've got a drink with no alcohol in, why would you drink a Guinness? Why not drink it? You know what I mean? Some nice fruit juice, elderflower or something.
But if science proved that a straight pour of Guinness is exactly the same, nobody would accept it.
It would change.
So I'm going to give you my second, more rigid example, which I think is the greatest example of the ridiculousness of being overly patriotic about a food. I love pineapple on pizza. I have jokes about it. I am a pineapple on pizza advocate. but there are some people that will not accept in any way, shape, or form that it's acceptable to put pineapple on pizza. And I can't understand that, because if it tastes nice, how is it not okay to have it?
I don't know whose idea it was.
Well, apparently it happened in Chicago, because I looked it up. But
No way, you haven't looked this up.
you're damn fucking right. I looked it up. So apparently, I like pineapple on pizza, and I'm sick to death of the stupidity of. So I always say to people that, like, are you saying you don't like the idea of pineapple on pizza? Well, that's fine. But if you try it and you like it, then why can't you just admit, oh, it turns out that we've evolved to realize that sweet and savory on a fucking, because here's the thing. Pizza is essentially an open sandwich, and I love pizza. I will fight for pizza. I will go to war for pizza.
Listen,
but let's not change the fact that it's an open sandwich. It's just an open sandwich. And it turns out that's sweet and savory. So, okay, so have you ever put like craisins in a salad? Or have you ever had an apple, walnut, goat's cheese salad? That's sweet and savory, but nobody gets all fucking upset about that.
This is really an issue with you, isn't it?
Well, hey, listen, man, we got to talk about something. I'm going
I
to talk about things
know.
I'm passionate about.
I know. I love the idea that you say to people, look, just because you don't like the idea of it, you might just like it. So many things starts off like that. Next thing you know, you're dogging. It's not the way. Go. Look, Des says neither of us like the idea of it, but if we give it a go, it might just be like pineapple on pizza. Come on.
No, because so basically, this goes back to Mo's bit, right? And
Mo's bit about the hummus.
No,
That's how we started. Sorry, yeah.
No, but I'm just bringing it back to the fact that of course it's fucking hilarious, but it's also like, hey, I'm 100% with you about traditional hummus, but just outside of the funniness of the routine, what if people discovered that there's alternative ways to make hummus that are also tasty? Why? That's not an insult to your culture. Pineapple on pizza is not an insult to Italians. It just turns out that sweet and savory is tasty. Like, why do we care?
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to bring Brad in on this because Brad's at a curry on chips.
Curry on chips is controversial.
Some people won't have chips if they go to the Indian.
Oh, so you're saying that like so people go to the Indian and they want to be like, I'm a real I don't just have a chicken korma. I like to try everything. I say to the chef, give me your most authentic dish, mate. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and honestly, I got to be honest with you. A lot of the times I'm that guy, like, because I get mad at Hannah when she goes to like a Chinese restaurant and she just wants like sweet and sour chicken. I'm like, oh, come on. I didn't spend 2 years in China for you to have fucking sweet and sour chicken. I'm losing my fucking cred in this fucking restaurant. You know
what's interesting as well? Liverpool's Chippies are all Chinese restaurants. So
really?
like if you go to the fish and chip shop, you can get like vermicelli from the fish and chip shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. So it's because, and that's why I don't know how much time you spent in Liverpool, Dad, since you've learned the Chinese. Because Liverpool has got the oldest Chinatown in the world, apparently.
Wow.
Apart from obviously China, they had them first.
So I have a Chinese comedian staying with me at the moment here in Dublin. Tony Cho, who was he was involved with Breaking China, and anyway, he's passionately trying to develop his English language stand-up career. But when he came to Ireland for the first time in 2014, he went to a Chinese takeaway, and he looked at me and he was like, "What is a curry?" He goes, "What is a curry? This is Indian food." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." I actually the sort of like curry and chips thing in Chinese in Ireland is like a thing, but like you'll never find that in China. So he was literally like, "What the fuck is this?" A Chinese guy was like, "What the fuck is this?" So not a lot of that food is actually like traditional. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's what's been pecking your head this week about the authenticity of food.
Well, I just thought it would be a good. Well, because I saw Mo's routine, and first of all, it's a nice little promo for Mo. He's a great. Mo is a good series on Netflix, but it really is something. I just find it so interesting the way people just like they just decide like something is either authentic or it isn't, and then there's no bend. That's all.
But it's also the relationship with things as well, because for me. And again, it's not an American food, you go over to America, it's nice to treat yourself to a pizza and all the rest of it. But we get all that stuff here, and the thing that is my treat, if you like, me guilty pleasure as a food, is so easily found here. But there's something nice about being in America and getting nachos. There's just something about getting all of that guacamole and those nachos, and for me, I'd have it with a beer, and I think, give me a nacho.
Mexican food is better in the States, and then in the States, Mexican food is better in the Southwest. It's like night and day.
You mean closest to Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you what, if you carry on and get to Mexico, it's even better.
In Mexico, you have no idea. I don't know why, but they are so good at Mexican food. But the problem is that it ruins you. It actually ruins you. You know,
Why?
like having Guinness in Ireland. Once you have Guinness in Ireland, you're like, you can't drink Guinness anywhere else because it's so much better in Ireland.
Yeah.
Once you actually experience like that authentic Mexican food, you're like, fuck me, what have I been eating before? And then you're like on the hunt for like that flavor that they get right, you know? So I had another topic that I wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, please do.
But it's quite serious. So I don't know if you want to get into it.
I don't know. I mean, I want to celebrate the fact that Liverpool are top of the league.
All right, let's do that first, because I've been bringing
let's do
up.
that. And it's 11 points ahead. Let's just do that. And I've done that. I watched the joyful beat Man City yesterday again. If you're not into sports, or you're not into soccer, may not mean as much to you as it does to me. But the last time Liverpool won the Premier League, it was during COVID times. We couldn't really have a celebration. And so I think if Liverpool win the Premier League this year, particularly if it coincides with this financial review of Man City, and Man City lose some of their previous titles and Liverpool get them as well, or even if Man City just get fined or kicked out the league or whatever, if justice is saved there and Liverpool win, you will see the biggest party ever in Liverpool, because we'll be celebrating the previous win as well as this one.
Wow. Just there's fucking people. I love that Liverpool fucking. Not only did we win the league this year, but we were robbed of it in the past.
We have been robbed of it. You'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually,
pineapple on your fucking pizza.
Listen,
proper issues in the will.
If Liverpool if Man City get found, because I've never been comfortable with the money that came to Man City. I never had a problem with the Russian oligarch money going to Chelsea, but I've had a huge problem with the Saudi money coming to, or whoever, the UAE
but
money.
Don't you find now, like every single sport when you turn on the telly, the latest competitions in Doha, this is in Doha, this is in Riyadh, it's all sport washing. That's
all
it
sports
is.
washing, which is terrible until they buy your team, and then you're like, it's not that bad, is it?
No, I think it's wrong.
I do think it's wrong.
I think it's absolutely wrong. I think as a nation, we should have a moral compass that says this is who we are, and we're very happy for everyone to have different opinions. But if in your country you would put somebody in jail for being gay, then we can't have you representing our town. We can't have you buying our club, and that's not saying whether you're right or wrong. We're not going to come to your country and tell you to change but this is how we are. You
I agree.
Just can't do that.
But what I hate, what I've been hating, is that we keep kind of losing that battle, like in the sense that like, there's always an outcry, but then in the end, like,
money wins.
Like, like the live golf, because in the end, people are always like, well, how could you say no to all that money? And it's like, well, I could understand that if you're like a struggling, like a ranked 200 golf player who's never made any real money. But like, and listen, I don't want to single out Ian Poulter. He's just the first name that comes into my head. And I get it. The guy's about to retire. Suddenly it's like, you're going to make more money than you ever made. I know it's hard to say no, but you're pretty fucking comfortable, bro.
But it's the same with the Saudi Football League, and some of the players went over there.
Ronaldo went over there.
And you think, why? You have enough. And if you want to protect your legacy, That's not a place to go. And if you want to develop the sport, the MSL is still in development.
MLS.
There's other place, MLS, sorry. That's how developed it is. I can't even pronounce. You know what I mean? There's other places to take your expertise to. There's other places that you could, if you want to be an ambassador to the sport, you're going purely because somebody is paying you a lot of money to do it. And in order to do that, you're going to have to say, listen, we accept that every now and again there might be a journalist who gets their head cut off. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, especially because, Khashoggi had was chopped up and put into a suitcase. And then we all had to just be like, oh, well, we're just going to ignore that because
it's just one of those things.
Because they want to put a lot of money into golf. And Greg, So here's a hypothetical for you. Just a little moral dilemma for you. Say Man City gets done. I didn't actually realize that this was happening because I'm a little bit out of the loop.
Yeah.
Say Man City gets done, and as a result, Pep Guardiola decides to move on. Would you be happy if Pep Guardiola took over Liverpool?
Don't need him.
Well, you don't need him now, but I mean in the future.
No. Well,
Nice.
well, no, Pep. Well, I mean, Pep Guardiola's a brilliant coach and all the rest of it, but it's just no. It was very interesting. I asked when I interviewed Jurgen Klopp, and this is going down a football hole here, I got asked to interview Jurgen Klopp, who was the previous Liverpool manager, when he retired in front of 10,000 fans in the arena at Liverpool. And I said we sort of said to people, send us a message if there's any questions. And one of the messages that kept on coming through is, are you leaving the club because Liverpool's not spent as much as other clubs on players? And did you feel you weren't getting backed? And his actual answer was, that's not how Liverpool do things. It's not the Liverpool way just to have the biggest bank balance and go out and buy the most expensive players. It's not how the club operates, not the culture of the club. And I thought that was a good telling point. When Pep Guardiola went into Man City, the culture of the club hadn't really been established because they'd been struggling for a few years, then all of a sudden got new money and did what you would do with new money and spent it. And to be fair, around Man City, they've generated that area of the city massively, and they do very positive things about the number of local people who are employed at the club and all the rest of it. So they have definitely invested in the area. There's no arguments about that. It's just that I feel as sport needs to make sure it protects the sport rather than just seek the money, because it's not just some of the nation states that are taking over some of the sports that have practices that we would not regard as acceptable in our country, but it's also the oligarchs and how they got the money. And there's also, there's a lot of people who see sports as a great way of sanitising their own profile, and that shouldn't be allowed to happen. That was a good speech, wasn't it?
Yeah, you really got into a speech there.
Yeah.
But what I really like, what you did was you brought up sports washing to make it seem like you cared about this horrible injustice in the world, just so you could name drop that you interviewed Jurgen Klopp. And I think that is a real skill out there in this world.
It is, to do it and still appear humble. Yeah, it's not about me, but did I tell you?
Did I tell you that I interviewed Jurgen Klopp, and I'm really in there, in the sort of upper echelons of connections to Liverpool Football Club. Well, anyway, listen.
Go on. What's your serious thing?
No, I'm going to hold that till next week. I'll tell you why, because we've been talking for a long time, and Brad, he has the confessionals loaded up.
Oh, right. Sorry, I didn't know we were going to do these.
Well, I think, honestly, I like finishing the ep with hearing from the congregation.
It'd be nice because it has been a bouncy around ep. So
I like finishing the ep with some confessionals, and next week we'll talk about free speech. Because I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I feel like it could take up a whole ep. So let's not bring it up. Let's do it next week. So for next week, we'll be having a very serious conversation about free speech and the hypocrisy of the American right. Over to you, Brad.
You're not allowed to talk about that. No, I'm not allowed to join in. Actually, to be fair, before we go anywhere, so I'm going to see you for a cup of tea tomorrow in Dublin, because I'm coming over to Dublin and hopefully we'll hook up for a cup of tea. And then I think the next ep we're going to be together.
Yes. So we
In
can
my
have that
house.
discussion together.
Perfect. Will it all three of us will be in one room?
Oh my God.
Which I don't think's ever happened.
First time ever.
First, I've never met Brad.
I know. Honest to God.
Well, I've
You
never
wait.
met him. I'm fucking making fun of his accent.
Exactly. You wait. Honest to God. If you're making fun of his accent, you haven't met. Wait till you see his legs. Big bandy leg, Brad.
So Brad, actually, I don't know if you noticed, Brad, but I actually have a routine about pineapple on pizza. I didn't just bring it up. I didn't do my routine. I use it as a way to explain homophobia to, straight white, straight males who perhaps can't get their head around what homophobia is. So I do a whole thing about how people get so angry about pineapple on pizza. And then I say, but I'm starting to think that people who are so aggressively against pineapple on pizza are afraid that if they try it, they'll like
You're gonna like it.
And that's homophobia. That's homophobia. And then I say, so the next time you're enjoying a Hawaiian slice, I want you to think about two men fucking and realize they're having the time of their lives.
Thank you for the work for the community.
Yeah, that's me.
Well
My virtue signaling. Signaling pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, it's all about putting something in your mouth.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's okay, right? That's okay.
That's good.
Yeah, John's an ally. We know John is an ally.
Yeah.
Until this episode goes out.
Yeah, no, yeah. But it's going out on Wednesday, and on Wednesday I'm at the Pride Awards in London. So you got to make me look
Why,
good.
why are you at the Pride Awards?
I'm giving an award to Charlene Spiteri of Texas for as being an ally, because I've been awarded an ally award in the past and a different one. So this is the Metro Pride Awards. So what we're doing, actually, we're having a brilliant family night. So me and Melanie and Luke and Luke's friends, we're having a good night, making a night of it.
That's
It'll
lovely.
be good. And we're all going to have pineapple pizza and see how we get on.
And then you can tell Luke why you're having pineapple pizza. Tell it's a pride celebration.
It's a message. I want you to know. I was happy to try it.
All right, sorry, Brad. Go ahead. Oh, you had a good one from last week that we didn't talk about that I think is a good one.
Okay, there are so many good inventions aside from the smartphone. I could list off many, but one of the best is navigation. Like, I learned to drive while there was navigation, but I didn't have a smartphone. And I would literally get lost and start crying. And my mom would be like, use a fucking map. And I'm like, what do you mean use a fucking map? Like, I truly have no idea how people would drive with a fucking map. Like, I can't comprehend it. And I would be probably like dead in a ditch if I didn't have navigation or
That
never
is
leave out of my
funny.
city. Because what the fuck is driving anywhere without a map? MapQuest? No, can't do it.
That is so funny. I did a pilot for a quiz show the other week. And a pilot is where you do a practice run. So you go into a studio and you do this thing, and then the channel decide whether they want to do it. So all that's in discussion. But when we did it, the guests would come on, and I'd say, right, you've got to introduce yourself to the audience. And this guy come on, and he was a London bus driver. And he said his name, can't remember his name. He said, but my special power is that I once drove from Bristol to Paris without sat-nav. Is that your special power? But what was thinking about the audience would go, wow, that's good, isn't it? I went, that's not good. That's not good.
Paris, every fucking road leads to Paris in France.
Yeah, we all did that. That's how we all used to live before sat-navs. How do you think people actually moved? They actually did it without sat-nav.
Yeah,
but the way he came out and go, no, guess what I did once? See, like he climbed Everest.
Yeah, man. It's such an interesting evolution. Like, I think there's an interesting topic too, because even comedians' bits about sat-nav have evolved over time. Like, the comedians' bits used to be like funny accents on the sat-nav, and like now it's like Google Maps. But I think Here's the thing that I think is bad. I think that young people have a worse sense of direction than we did because they never actually have to figure out how to get anywhere.
Absolutely. I know. You just see them constantly bumping into things. When you walk into the kitchen, bump, bump, bump. Oh, God, I can't find my way to the fridge. No.
You have to put a pin on the fridge for fucking...
I tell you what it is. What I do find is they don't have a sense, and it's not their fault, because if you've lived all your life with sat-navs, you don't have a sense of the wider geography. So I rode a bicycle from Australia back to Liverpool in 1992, and I did it all with paper maps and not, like maps of the country. But that meant I had a sense of where I was in each country. When you have a map, you get a sense of where you're at. If you're just putting in, I don't know, Winchester in your sat-nav, you won't know where Winchester is in relation to anywhere else apart from the road that you're on. So that's why they have a bad sense of direction, because they don't need one.
Where did you cycle from, did you say?
Australia, from Sydney.
You cycled?
Have I never told you that? You must have known that.
I don't think I did know that. I mean, I remember you had the bike show in Edinburgh.
Yeah. That's what it was about.
And I saw that show too, but funnily enough, I forgot.
I know, but when I told that, so I did that show at the Edinburgh Festival. It was my first Edinburgh Festival, and I thought I'd go on and tell everyone, the unique experience of riding a bicycle from Liverpool, from Sydney to Liverpool. But the reality was, Stanley, the dog. Oh, he's just gone downstairs. Anyway, but the reality was, I spent 10 months on the bike doing it. And when I tried to do the story in an hour, I didn't get out of Australia. So people just think, I went to see this guy and he did the bike story about riding a little bit in Australia, but I missed out the rest of the world because I just couldn't get down to it.
Yeah, he only got to Darwin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I remember one time, a great comedian, Katie Boyle, I used to do a podcast with her, and, she's not, she's like 15 years younger than me, and one day we were going to record in the car, so she lives in Manhattan, she's Irish, but she lives in Manhattan, and she was around the corner, right? So I won't get into the details and bore people, but like it was literally, she needed to walk one street up, take a right, and then I was literally like 2 short New York blocks down. So she was a 4-minute walk away and a 90-degree up and around. I said, Katie, just walk up past the Comedy Cellar, take a right, and I'm down there next to that coffee shop on the corner of Sullivan Street. And she was like, no, can you just send me a pin? And I was like, no, Katie, just go to the end of the street and take a right. And she was like, no, I can't. I need, just send me a pin. And I was like, all right, I'll send a pin. But I had to do it in protest. I was like, how can this be? Like, how can you not? Like, because now it's like those days are over. Flannery's Pub.
Oh, yeah.
Go there and take a left.
Stopping people and winding your window down. That's another thing we have to do. Wind your window down. Then press a button and go, excuse me, can you tell me the way to such and such? And they go, up there, turn right, second left. Now they go, mate, can't you get them to send you a pin?
Yeah. Or like, I've had people stop me in the street and be like, oh, can you tell me how to get to this? With the fucking phone in their hand. And I was like, that is going to know better than me. Just for the record. So I'm kind of a hypocrite because I think it's crazy that people don't know how to get places, but I also think it's nuts when people ask these days. I'm like, what the fuck is that phone for?
What are you talking to me for?
Or like if somebody asks you directions now, I'm like, put it in the phone. They know which streets have more traffic than the other. Don't be fucking asking me.
Exactly.
So I know, by the way, I almost go nowhere now without putting it into the phone.
I know.
Just in case.
When I drive to Liverpool from here, 90% of it's on the motorway. So once you're on the motorway, that's it. There's no discussion. You're on the motorway. I still keep the sat-nav on to know that I'm on the motorway. So it tells me what time I'm going to get to where I'm going.
Yeah, and I like,
and then I try and beat it.
I try to beat the time. I love beating the time.
I know. What a pathetic thing. You try and beat the time.
Yeah.
You try, of the thing that's telling you the safest time you're going to get there. You go,
this is the way to get there without dying.
Yeah, I want to get there a minute faster than what you suggest, just to let you know I'm free thinking. I'm not being driven by machines.
Yeah, but have you ever? So the States Waze is really popular. Have you ever?
I use Waze.
Have you ever ignored Waze? So like, there are times where Waze is wrong. There are times where Waze just gets like too complicated, and I've ignored it and won. But sometimes I've assumed that Waze is again just being too technical, trying to save me 1 minute, and I've ignored them and been fucking stuck in like an accident. and then I hate myself for days. Actually, the making dumb driving decisions is like one of those like tiny mistakes that I make that in my mind is like one of the worst things ever.
Worst thing. You get
Like,
so annoyed with yourself.
oh
so
my
angry.
God, the frustration.
Life.
Like, why was I born?
Well, we did it the other day, didn't we, Brad? We were coming out my dad's house, and as we were coming out my dad's house, we turned round the corner, and there's the road narrows a little bit, and there was a football game going on, and there was a police car talking to someone, and the guy stopped in front of us. But if you move forward, like 5 feet, we could turn left and get our way around. And we had all day to get to where we were going, and he stopped. And so I beat Bradley's horn on that's not a euphemism, by the way. I pressed the horn on the car, so the guy would know that we were there. But as I did it, the driver of the car in front went with his arms, which annoyed me. So I got out the car to say,
"Oh, you can't get out the car, bro."
I know, but that's the problem. I got out the car. All the parents were there for this football because what's he getting out the car for? What's going on here? So then it looked like there was a thing. Then the police moved. Then this guy moved forward to 5 feet. So then we could get back in the car. So then I got back in the car. And I said to Brad, I've made a big thing there over literally nothing. And that was all because I knew I could beat the sat-nav. The sat-nav was saying go that way, but the sat-nav didn't know that the policeman was there talking to somebody.
Yeah, like a fucking,
Crazy.
like a failed pit stop in a fucking Formula One race.
Exactly. All right, well, listen, I've got to do some press interviews in 10 minutes.
All right, let's do one more, Brad.
How's lads? Big fan from Dublin here. I just wanted to ask, based on the last question about the selfie, is have you ever been asked to sign anything weird or strange or unusual with an autograph? Like, what's the most interesting thing you've been asked to sign?
No.
Big fan of the podcast. Well done, keep it up, and I'm looking forward to seeing John on his Halloween show in Dublin this year.
Very
Lovely.
Good. Me Halloween show, did she say?
Well, I think she
means...
means...
Oh, no, my show's on in Halloween.
Yeah.
I thought she's going to be massively disappointed.
Your fancy dress show, yeah. He's going to dress as Jurgen Klopp so he can tell his fucking interview in Jurgen Klopp's store.
No, if you got one, and I've got one. I
have, honestly, I have the classic.
Which is what?
Numerous women have asked me to sign their breasts. I don't have like a great story.
I'll tell you the story, and then I'll have to get on to these interviews. But I've got to tell you this story because. So there was a woman where we lived up in Cheshire. There was a fan who kept on sending letters. My sister was my assistant at the time, sending letters and emails to her saying, I really want to meet John. I live close to where he's moved. And she was saying, look, yeah, you can. She said, well, can I go to the house and give him a letter? And she said, no, you can't give him a letter. What is it? What? She said, well, it's personal. And she said, well, yeah. And all this was going on without me knowing. And in the end, she said, look, I'd like him to give me away at my wedding. I'm like, I've never met this woman. I'm obviously not going to give her away at the wedding. I said to Carol, my sister, just block it down. Say, no, forget it. In the end, there's a little village fete where we are. We go to this village fete. I'm assuming this girl who said give us away at the wedding is a young girl who for whatever reason, thought I could do the job. This woman comes walking up to me, well in her 50s, maybe 60s, and says, John, it was me who's been trying to get in touch with you to give me away at the wedding. And I said, oh, well, look, it's just not what I want to do, but thanks for the thing. She said, but look, I thought you might come here. So can you sign me books? So she had my autobiography, right? So I'm sort of signing her autobiography, and a fella was with her, and they're both, as I say, older. And as I'm talking to her, he just goes, eyes roll back in his head. He falls on the floor. He starts having a fit. So I'm going, oh my God, he's having a fit. So I'm like, stop starting the thing. And I'm like trying to get out and then trying to get St. John's ambulance to come over. And then she's going, I knew he'd do this. He ruins everything for me. He knew that I've been waiting to meet you. I said, he's having a fit. She said, yeah, but he doesn't have to have a fit now, does he? I said, it's a fucking fit. Is he okay? So I'm trying to help this fella. And she goes, look, I just want you to sign something. I said, she said, can you sign my arm? I said, what? She said, sign me arm. I went, for fuck's... So, as her husband's having, or this fella's having a fit, I signed her forearm. I signed her arm, the inside of her forearm. I just went right there, fucking now, let me... this is all done. Me and Melanie went, that's weird. We go back home. And then our neighbour sends their kids swimming lessons. And this woman worked in the gym. And as our neighbour came in, she didn't know that she was our neighbour. She said to her, oh, guess who I met at the weekend? And she went, really? I met John Bishop. Yeah, I met him. And look what he did. And she got my name tattooed. She's got the signature tattooed.
Wow.
That's bonkers. That's the bit where you go, now, the ladies whose breasts you signed, I wonder. I just wonder if they've got Des Bishop was here.
And people are like, why is John Bishop's name so shaky on your arm? It's like, well, my future husband was having a seizure while he was signing.
Yeah, he was giving him CPR while signing. Honestly,
Wow.
God, one of the weirdest experiences I've had.
Wow, that's a good one. Yeah,
Well,
I don't have anything like that, I can tell you.
All right, well,
So-
listen, good to catch you up. I'll see you, hopefully, for a coffee tomorrow. Next week, we'll be doing a gig together for TaylorMade Dreams, a charity gig that we're doing down in Tunbridge Wells, which we don't need to plug it because it's all sold out. But
Yeah.
that'll be great. So we'll have loads to talk about next week. And at some point, and then you're going to stay at my house, and then we'll do the podcast from here. And we're just going to tell Melanie to order in some pizzas with pineapple
Pineapple with pizza and some fucking scouse.
and Guinness.
Some vegan scouse. Anyway, I'm in Dublin this week at the Olympia, and anyway, check my
you're at the
website.
Olympia?
Yeah, I'm at the Olympia Wednesday,
great
Thursday,
venue to do a
Friday.
gig. Yeah.
And I'm in Newry on Saturday. Fucking Newry. So, Newry, County Down. So, anyway, we'll see you guys. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Oh, leave comments on the Spotify. The comments on the Spotify are so much fun. Keep leaving comments. Spread
Leave
the-
there, do all the stuff, like, subscribe, get
Yes.
onto the YouTube and
All that
subscribe.
stuff,
And we'll
yes.
see you soon.
Thanks.